Hi, it's Jane from Habits for Being, and today I wanted to share with you a video on learning to control the controllables. Now, before I start, I wanted to acknowledge the local Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. It's something that's very close to my heart, and they have really helped me over my own adventure of life. And if you're hearing this video overseas, it's your local Indigenous people. So a bit of an outline for this video is introducing the locus of control, then also introducing choice theory. Now, I'm not going to go into too much research around either of those, but no, you can look those up on the internet. And then thirdly, why investigate what's in your control and an activity, and then identifying your next step. So as we're approaching control, one of the things I do when I'm working with clients in my business is really, and even with friends and family, it's like helping them become their own inner authority. And so looking at this process around control as an adventure and becoming your own teacher. So it's not hopefully something that what I say resonates with you. If not, that's okay as well. And so remembering you're in charge of your own world, and whatever choice you make is up to you. So why investigate what's in your control? Well, for me, many years ago, I discovered that I was giving my power away. So I was caring a lot about what other people thought of me, and I was a people pleaser. And it wasn't until I learnt to go within myself that I really started to have a lot of shifts within my world. It was like doing a U-turn back into me and identifying what was happening for me at the time. And little by little I've been able to untangle that and return and back into myself. And so it could be costing you health. And so for me, I burnt out a number of times. So yes, it was definitely costing me health, trying to be the best person and pushing. However, for me now, life just has a way of flowing and unfolding. And for me, that's a lot nicer than what it was before, and more peaceful for sure. It could also be having an impact on leading a fulfilling or meaningful life, time, doing the things that you want to do. It also could be having an impact on financial income. And then the other reason why I wanted to share this video is lack of control is one of the biggest triggers of stress. So you can see uncertainty and lack of information are the other two. But that's why I wanted to unpack control a little bit today. So what is locus of control? So it was developed by Julian Rotter in 1954, and it refers to the extent that individuals believe they can control what happens to them. So the key word there is believe. And so I created a diagram, and it's like a continuum. So the internal locus of control is feeling active, feeling like I have a choice, I can do what I want to do. And then the external locus of control is like things are happening to you. And so that could be useful. And yes, it's a continuum, because sometimes we just don't know until we stop and reflect and go within ourselves to identify that. And then I came across the work of William Glasser when I was doing my Masters in Education. Came across locus of control when I was an athlete, and that really helped me, especially when I was on the court and it was windy. I learnt to identify what I could control and what I couldn't control. So nature, as an example, I couldn't control. So when I was serving, it was not an easy thing to serve in the wind and get it to go where you want it to go. So it's like I had to focus on what I can control. Then when I came across the theory of choice theory in my Masters in Education, it really made sense to me. And so William Glasser talks about it based on the assumption that each individual ultimately controls only him or herself and is self-motivated. So he refers to 7 deadly habits and 7 caring habits, and shifting from the deadly habits to the caring habits, if you choose to. Remember, it's all a choice. And so again, when I started reflecting on my own world, I started realizing that some of this was happening. And so I brought compassion to those situations and made those changes. And by no means am I perfect at this. I'm still a work in progress, and I'll continue to be. For me, that's my understanding of life, that I want to continue to grow and evolve. So recognizing them first and foremost, and if you choose to, then you can change. It's up to you. So I wanted to share with you a bit of an activity about identifying and knowing what's in your control. So again, remember, it's a choice. If you would like to, on a piece of paper, reflect on these journal prompts or sentence starters, whatever you'd like to call them. So get a pen or a pencil or a texter, and remembering you can pause the video at any time as well. So the first sentence starter is, the situations I have control over are. So just the first 1 or 2 words, maximum sentence. Then secondly, the situations I have little or no control over are. Thirdly, the outcomes I have control over are. And then finally, the outcomes I have little or no control over are. So the third piece of controlling the controllables came for me from Byron Katie, and when I saw this quote, it really resonated with me. So I'll let you read it. And again, as you're reading it, please feel free to shift or change the word God and put your own word in there, whatever resonates, the divine, love, whatever resonates with you. And then if you choose to, the next part of the activity is identifying each of these 3 areas. Well, I've added an extra area. So on a piece of paper, drawing 3 columns and identifying you as the first column, others as the second column, and then the bigger picture as the third column. So you, what do you have control over? What's within your control? As an example, is the choices that you make, the attitude that you bring to life each day. Then secondly, what do other people have control over? And then finally, the bigger picture. What's in that control? Then here are some examples. So you can read those. You may have different ones. That's okay. That's not an exhausting list. So it's really identifying what you have control over, and then also, where are you spending your time? If you're spending your time with things you don't have control over, maybe you'd like to make a choice and shift that. It's up to you. So then also another aspect to it that you may like to add in is going back to those sentence starters and identifying or highlighting if you have control over them. That's green, highlight it green. If you only have partial control, you may like to highlight the situation yellow, no control, pink, or I haven't seen a red highlighter, but there may be one. So you can highlight it, and then from there you identify what your next step is, and maybe shift in relation to where you're spending your time or investing your time, and going from there. Remember, it's totally up to you, it's your choice. And as you're going along this adventure, for me, one of the gifts has been self-compassion, because I had a very strong, and still to an extent, have a strong inner critic. And that's, I think, part of being a professional athlete. However, I've brought a lot of compassion towards myself, and I'm very grateful for the teachings of Dr. Kristen Neff and Christopher Germer. And so Kristen Neff talks about self-compassion as having these 3 elements. So bring self-kindness. So as you're going on the adventure, if you choose to, around controlling the controllables, bring that self-kindness towards yourself and looking after yourself. Okay? And then secondly, that common humanity. Recognizing that all of us have things that we've made mistakes around, and that's okay as long as we're learning and also looking after ourselves through that process. And finding also someone that we trust enough to share that information with. And then finally, mindfulness and holding our experience in balanced awareness, equanimity, and working through that. So Viktor Frankl has a famous quote, and he talks about between stimulus and response there's a choice, and in that space is our freedom to choose. And so throughout this video clip, hope you've identified that you have the freedom to choose what your next step is, and it really is up to you. However, for me personally, it is, I found that the more I take responsibility and accountability and take ownership of my life is really changed, and little by little it continues to evolve, which I'm grateful for. So the only question is now is what is your next step? And remember, it's totally up to you. And also remembering that it's not what you know, it's what you do with what you know. And that's a really important tweak I found over the years, because a lot of people know a lot of stuff, but are they living and really being it and experiencing that, embodying it? So thank you so much for your time today. Hopefully you found this a little bit useful. If not, that's okay as well. It's totally up to you. And if you have any questions, please pop over to the website or on Facebook. And I look forward to chatting to you again. Take care and have an awesome afternoon. Bye.